In 2015 in Costa Rica, the Adventure Racing World Championship begins. Michael, one of the best adventure racers who has never won a championship, participates in the race with his teammates. Leo believes they should not kayak against the tide and suggests waiting like the other teams, but Michael goes against this advice and is determined to keep going until he leads the team into the mud and they get stuck. Outraged, Leo takes a picture of Michael and posts it on social media, showcasing Michael's stubbornness. Soon the post goes viral. 3 years later, in the Dominican Republic, Arthur, a stray dog, is terribly injured and wanders the city streets, scavenging for food. Meanwhile, in Colorado, Michael lives an everyday life with his wife Helen and their daughter Ruby. He works as a realtor alongside his father Charlie, but he feels his life is incomplete and desires to compete once more, hoping to finally win a race. Michael is upset that his legacy has become defined by Leo's post and believes the world needs to know he is more than that picture. Helen assures him of her support and encourages him to make connections with potential teammates and sponsors to help him race again. The next day, Michael travels to Big Sur to meet with Chick, an older racer who was kicked out of his old team due to a bad knee. Michael invites him to join the race, and Chick accepts. Later, Michael goes to Hawaii to find Olivia Baker, one of the finest climbers, and her father Hugo, a champion mountain climber. Michael climbs up to talk to Olivia and tries to convince her to join his team. She refuses, saying she no longer races and only climbs to make her father happy. However, Hugo asks her to participate in the race, and she agrees. Afterward, Michael and his agent meet with the executive team at a corporate sponsor, Broadrail, and try to persuade them to finance the team. However, they do not show much confidence due to Michael's track record. When they question his determination, Michael delivers a passionate speech about how he will win no matter what, and storms out of the meeting. After some time, his agent informs Michael that the Broadrail team agrees to fund the team, but they will only provide half the amount he is asking for. Also, they stipulate that Leo must be the fourth member since he has significant social media influence. Michael finds Leo, now an influencer, at a photo shoot promoting his own brand. Michael asks him to join the team. Leo knows Michael only wants him because Broadrail insisted and demands that Michael admit he made the wrong decision during the last race, causing them to lose. Michael acknowledges this, and Leo agrees to join the team. The team arrives in the Dominican Republic 4 days before the race, with limited time to train due to their tight budget. While practicing, they run into another strong team led by Decker, and the teams playfully tease each other. The night before the race, all the participating teams gather for a race kickoff celebration, and Arthur sits among the athletes in the crowd. The next day, Arthur encounters 2 other wild dogs who chase him through the city's slums. He outruns them and cleverly escapes by jumping onto the back of a truck. At the starting line, as the team gathers and strategizes for the 5 days ahead, Olivia reveals that her father has been diagnosed with cancer and that the only reason she is racing is for him. The team hypes themselves up, determined to win. Soon the race begins, and the first stage is on foot, running through a jungle trek for 29 miles. Meanwhile, back at home, Helen and Ruby track Michael's progress online. After a while, the team arrives at the first transition area in 17th place. While resting, Michael notices Arthur watching him. He approaches Arthur and realizes that he doesn't look too good. Michael offers him a couple of meatballs before the team heads off. The team begins the second and third stages of the race, which involve cycling across all terrains for 187 miles. Following Chick's lead, they decide to take a shortcut to save time but encounter a cliff. Olivia takes charge and leads the team in climbing a vertical rock face while carrying their bikes. They successfully reach the top and continue until they find an abandoned zip line they plan to use to cross a giant ravine. Chick goes first, followed by Leo, sliding across with their bikes hanging from their waists, enjoying the adventure and reaching the other side safely. However, when it's Olivia's turn, she gets stuck in the middle as the cable jams due to fraying. Michael rushes out to help her and devises a risky plan. He unhooks his carabiner, swings past her, and manages to hook it back up. He then tries to swing his bike to Olivia, who eventually catches it and attaches herself to the bike before releasing her hook. Michael's plan proves successful, and the two safely make it to the other side. The team continues and makes it to the next transition area in 11th place, and they perform well over the following 2 stages, climbing to 6th place by the time they arrive at the halfway rest point. The team decides not to waste much time and rests for only 35 minutes instead of the suggested full hour. When the time is up, they set out with the other competitors at night, starting stages 7 and 8. The pouring rain makes it even more challenging. While walking through the jungle, Chick trips over a branch and tweaks his knee. Michael offers to carry his pack to help him out. Later, Michael suggests that Chick rest for a while, but Leo insists they should keep moving as they are losing time. The two begin to argue, with Leo getting angry at Michael for letting them race, despite knowing about Chick's prior knee injury. Just then, Arthur shows up and barks at them. Michael recognizes him as the dog he fed meatballs to 3 days ago and is surprised that Arthur could have traveled 200 miles. The team sets out again, and Arthur follows along, pushing Chick when he starts to slow down. As the team takes a shortcut and navigates through the jungle, Leo leads the way. Suddenly, Arthur runs ahead of him and barks loudly. Leo gets angry, but Michael notices they are on the edge of a cliff. The team then realizes that Arthur just saved their lives, and they feel grateful to have the dog with them. The next day, the team arrives at a river. As Chick checks the map, Michael questions how Arthur has found them so fast, but no one has a clue. At that moment, Arthur runs away, and the team collectively decides to move on, while Michael is reluctant to leave without Arthur. However, Arthur quickly returns to them, which makes Michael happy. Arthur continues to accompany the team as they continue the race. During the 9th stage, while hiking up a steep hill, Leo gets dizzy and begins throwing up. They stop to rest, and Michael decides to name the dog Arthur the King because he never begs for food, only eats when they offer it to him, just like a king. Leo also gives his meatball to Arthur as a thank you for saving his life. As they move on, Leo's dehydration worsens, and the team manages to find a local fishing boat to help them cross the river. When they reach the last rest station, they learn that they are now in first place by a significant margin. Michael decides that they will make good use of their lead and take a 4-hour rest so they can recover and finish strong. Leo insists he can keep going and apologizes, but Michael comforts him, saying that they're a team and they'll finish together. While Leo rests, Michael tries to clean Arthur's wound. Chick approaches and asks Michael why they only had 4 days to train. Michael reveals that the sponsor didn't provide enough funding and that he spent $25,000 of his wife's savings on the team's finances. He explains that this is his last chance and he needs to win. After a while, Leo recovers and is ready to go. As the team prepares to leave, Decker's team arrives and they mock each other. Sensing that Decker is hurting and needs rest, the team knows this is their chance and gets back on the course with Arthur. Meanwhile, Helen sees the picture online and learns about Arthur becoming the 5th member of Team Broadrail, excitedly sharing it with Ruby. The final stage of the race begins with Decker's team very close behind Michael's as they arrive at the start of a kayak stage. One of the race organizers informs Michael that Arthur cannot be allowed in the kayaks due to safety issues. Michael tries to argue, but Decker's team also arrives and starts paddling. Leo urges them to hurry, as they have a great chance of winning. Michael has no choice but to bid goodbye to Arthur and leave him behind, despite Arthur's whimpering. The team starts to paddle out and nearly overtakes Decker. They notice Arthur following them along the shore until there is no land left. Arthur then jumps into the water and starts swimming toward them, but he eventually runs out of energy and begins to drown. Michael decides to give up their chance of winning and asks Leo to turn the boat around. Leo resists for a while because they are so close to winning the championship, but Arthur once saved Leo's life, and he is one of them. So they immediately paddle back and rescue him just in time. The team continues kayaking for the next 4 hours while Arthur's health condition looks very bad. They finally arrive on land and begin the final sprint, with Michael carrying Arthur on his back. As they near the finish line, Arthur gets down and runs alongside the team. Despite finishing in 2nd place, they celebrate and embrace, feeling like they have won. However, Arthur collapses to the ground. Michael takes Arthur to a local vet who explains that Arthur is suffering from vicious abuse and his wounds have become infected and infested by parasites. The doctor suggests they put Arthur down to end his suffering as they are unable to perform the required surgery. Michael wants to take him back to the US for treatment, but he is told that the local government would not allow him to leave the country. Michael calls Helen and talks to her about Arthur. Then, he goes back and prepares to say goodbye to Arthur, asking him whether he wants to keep fighting or if he just wants to rest. Arthur extends his paw, so Michael decides to fight for him. That night, Michael takes Arthur to a hotel, but Arthur seems scared and refuses to go inside, so the two end up spending the night on the street. The next morning, Leo finds them and takes them to the airport, where a large crowd and the media have gathered to support Michael's effort to bring Arthur home, including Decker, who admits that the team would have won if they hadn't turned back to save Arthur. Under the pressure of Leo's live broadcast, Dominican customs officers allow Arthur to leave as the crowd cheers. However, the Dominican airline staff does not allow pets in flight and forces Arthur to get into a cage to board the plane, but Arthur cooperates and gets inside willingly. Upon arrival in the U.S., Michael finds Arthur suffering and unable to move in the crate. He carries Arthur out and takes him immediately to the vet for surgery. In the waiting room, Michael learns that the world knows Arthur's story and people have donated thousands of dollars to save his life. He is also happy to learn that Helen is pregnant. The doctor calls Michael in to meet with Arthur once, as his chances of survival are very thin. Michael lies on the floor beside him and talks about their potential future together. 18 months later, Arthur has fully recovered, running alongside Michael through the Colorado mountains. Helen has given birth to a baby boy, and the family happily lives together.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out our channel for more videos.